I bought hundreds of Section 8 rental properties across the country, and in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down how to buy Section 8 rental properties in Birmingham, Alabama. If you don't know already, Birmingham, Alabama is one of the best places to buy for cash flow because it has low property taxes and the property values are super low. So in this video, I'm gonna break down on my computer how I find these deals, where I like to buy them in Birmingham, how to get them rented out on Section 8, and how much money you can make by buying these Section 8 rental properties. With that being said, let's get into the video. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is go to Zillow, Birmingham, Alabama, and then I'm gonna remove the boundary, zoom in here, and I always start with houses that are below $150,000. The reason why is that most of these houses that are gonna cash flow, well, that we'll be able to sell as turnkey rental properties or sell or cash flow or burst strategy, whatever the case may be, they're mostly going to be below $150,000. Once you're above $150,000, it gets much harder for you to cash flow on these properties. I'm going to just look at 3-bedroom, 1 baths, okay? And then I'm going to deselect and just select houses, okay? Actually, we can get a little crazy here. Let's do multifamily as well, all right? So that's pretty much my searches. That brings us 502 results. If you watch some of my other videos, you've probably seen that this number is sometimes in other cities like 3,000. So this is a very low number, but that's okay. You can still buy houses in Birmingham, Alabama, and you can still cash flow. And it's a great market actually for Section 8, all right? Because you look how much inventory there is. Like, sure, there's not any inventory over here, but pretty much everywhere else that you see white, which just means that there's houses there and it's not a forest. You can buy some great Section 8 rental properties here, okay? Now, how do you go and find out how much the properties will rent out on Section 8? So we're gonna go to huduser.gov. We're gonna scroll down here, fair market rents. We're going to go to Alabama, and then we have to figure out which county it is. Birmingham, Alabama county. Jefferson County. So we're going to go here to Jefferson County. All right, Jefferson County, next screen. All right, so these are all the different zip codes that you have, and then how much Section 8 will pay max for a 1-bed, 2-bed, 3-bed, 4-bed. So you can see here the huge difference between the 1-bed to 2-bed to 3-bed. We're mostly going to be looking at 3 beds, which gets us like 1,400, 1,900, 1,700, 2,300. Wow. So we're getting pretty good rents. Pretty much the baseline right here is around 1,420. So the way that you can look at it is you can go to here and then you can type in 1,450 times 80%. All right. So the average rent you're probably going to get is around $1,200, which means most of these properties, when we buy them, we want to make sure we're buying them and all in for around $1,100, $110,000, $120,000. The reason why is just the 1% rule. So like if our average rent is going to be around $1,160, that should be around 1% of the purchase price, okay? Or the total all in cash. So if you take 1,160 and times it by 100, that's kind of like the price we want to be in all in for the property to cash flow really well. Now, one of the benefits of investing in Birmingham, Alabama, you can do this, states with lowest property taxes. Alabama is generally one of the most affordable in the entire country. It has probably one of the lowest property taxes that I've ever seen. Like property taxes on like for $400, $500, $600 a year, where in other cities that would be $2,000 a year. So extremely low property taxes. So we might be in a little bit of an advantage here. All right. So now what we're going to do is take some inventory we find, use these fair market rent calculators here, plug them into this calculator here, which you can go here. You can make a free account on here, app.flipsystem.com. We're going to just do a free deal analysis in here, which you can do unlimited of in the software. Okay. So let's first get started by looking for some inventory. I know that this south side of Birmingham is actually pretty good. I want to be above $50,000 just to remove the properties that need a ton of work. Let's just start clicking around. Okay. One thing we do want to figure out is if the property is occupied. I don't want to buy anything occupied right now. I just want to buy stuff vacant. And I'm just going to click around and let's just have some fun analyzing some deals together, huh? All right, $95,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot. First time home buyer. Okay, so this one's vacant. Let's see the reno. Some snow on the roof. I didn't know it snows there. All right, house looks good. Maybe it needs a couple of $1,000 and just like clean up. But this is good. 35221. All right. 35221, 3-bedroom. We're looking at 1420. Okay. So let's take that address again. Huh. Can't load it for some reason. All right. Birmingham, Alabama. Okay. We're in there. We're going to go to analysis. And we are going to do, we're going to change this to be a buy and hold. Okay, we're buying the property for $95K. Repair costs, let's call it $3,000. Annual taxes, let's check that out. So annual taxes, what you can do is you can go down here and you can see the tax assessment. So property taxes are $1,000 a year. Let's do 1,100. Insurance will be $950 per year. Typically, you can just budget like $1,000. Current rent is 0. Market rent. So market rent, right? We're going to be at 1420 times 80%. So we're at 1420 times 80%. So we're at 1150. Okay. Then we have vacancy, property management, interest rate, loan fees, down payment. All right. Now we just click save. Project management fee 0. All right. So we are going to buy this property for $95,000. We're going to put 20% down, get a loan, 7% interest rate, 2 points, $1,500 in fees. We have the rent minus taxes, insurance, property management, vacancy and maintenance, debt service. We're making $300 per month, 12 or 13% cash on cash return. You need $28,000 to do this deal, $76,000 loan amount. So this is pretty good. It's a pretty good deal. If you do have, $30,000 to get into this deal, you can make a 13% cash on cash return on this property. So this is a good one. Nothing really to watch out for on this kind of deal. Again, it just looks like it needs a couple $1,000s in cleanup. Maybe the exterior needs some more work. But really like the next step for this process would probably be to reach out to the listing agent, then start building your team. So you want to find a construction company, property management company, insurance, contract, all these different kinds of things are people that you're going to want to find as your next step, because these are just the numbers on the spreadsheet. Now we need to find real people on the ground to make this deal a reality. So that was Beulah. Let's go to the next one. All right. So 1416 18th Way. The tenant is currently paying $1,000 a month. Let's go and see if this property cash flows currently. Let's see if we can get any photos. No photos. Okay. So let's take the address. Let's see if this thing cash flows. Okay. So we're buying it for, let's close that, $90,000. Repair costs, $3,000. 0. Taxes. Boom. Payment calculator. We're at $1,200. Insurance, $1,000. 0. $1,000. Okay. Let's plug that in there. Boink. So this one, 8.38% return. This is why I was saying, like, you really want to buy houses that are vacant and then put the tenants in place. You're just going to get way better cash flow and be able to place that tenant and get higher rent. Because remember, if we were to go and do this, like find a tenant on our own for this property, we'd be able to get way higher rent. So for example, instead of $1,000 in current, we'd be at $1,150, right? Now we're at 14% cash on cash return. So, but if you remember from the notes from this deal, the problem is that this tenant just signed their lease in January, just re-signed their lease. Through January 2026. So you're kind of screwed for the rest of the year for this deal. So something to think about. I always like to, if this had like 1 or 2 months left, that'd be great, because I know I can maybe increase the rent by $100, $150, which really changes the numbers. But on a deal like this, it just doesn't really make sense to buy the property with a tenant in place already. I would prefer to just get it vacant, clean it up, and go from there. Now, you guys may be asking, how do I find these property management companies? Go to Birmingham property management companies on Google, call them all. There's no real way to test them. It's really just trial and error. Sorry. There's not an easier answer that I have. That's the easiest way to do it. There is no way to really just verify or vet that this is going to be a good property management for you. All right. Financing costs. We have 7% interest rate and 2 points, 20% down. You can use a couple different lenders here. One is Kiavi.com. Another one is Lima1Capital.com. Could be a good one as well for you to use, but these are just some nationwide DSCR lenders that you can use. So pretty self-explanatory on that. To get a loan on this, you are going to need $26,000 in the bank, and then typically like a 600 plus credit score, and you can get approved for some deals like this. All right. So that's that one. Let's head over to the next one. $95,000. Calling all investors, great opportunity for a quick flip. So this tells me that we're going to need some work on this property. I'm going to pass because, as you can see, we already know $95,000. And I was looking at very similar areas. We're only going to be able to get, I mean, it is a 4-bedroom, so maybe we can get a higher rent. Let's see. 4-bedroom, we can get 1,600, which is really like 1,200, 1,300. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make sense because we're probably, if it says this in the text, it just tells me that it needs some work on it. And they're not taking photos of the interior. So I'm just going to pass on this one because this is going to be like a buy, fix, and then rent, which I don't really want to get into right now. All right, $125K. Okay, new roof. This one is rented out. So this one has tenants in place. Part of an 8-property portfolio. That's why they're not taking photos of the interior or anything like that. On these listings where you see like there's no photos, no information, I just reach out to the listing agent, or if you have a buyer's agent, I just give this guy or gal a call. Okay, I say, hey, my name's Antoine. I'm looking to buy your rental property on yada, yada, yada. Is the property still available? Cool. What's the rent on it? Cool. When's the lease end? Great. Let me run some numbers, get back to you. Take that info, boom, plug it in here. And here you really want to look for like a 10 to 15% cash on cash return or higher. The reason why is because you can always go to martelturnkey.com and these properties cash flow like 8 to 12%. So and these properties have tenants in place, vetted property management, cash flowing already, like verified rent rolls, all this kind of stuff. So this is kind of like the epitome of turnkey and Section 8 rentals. And we have Section 8 rentals on here as well. So I say that to say that if you are going to like put the time and effort to build a team, find the deals, work with the lenders, all this kind of stuff, and do the work, you should be getting more than a 15% cash on cash return. And you saw the couple of deals we analyzed so far aren't really there. So we have to make these lower offers because Martel Turnkey, you can make 8 to 12, 10 to 15% cash on cash returns from day one with no effort. So if that's no effort, if we're going to put in some effort, we want to make a little bit higher cash on cash, right? So this deal, we're just going to pass because we need to call the listing agent. Let's go through another one. So 135, totally renovated. All right, let's check it out. It's been listed for a while though, so not looking very good. Wow. Very nicely done. 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms. Oof. Yeah. This one's not going to work, right? And we know this because the 2 other deals, like let's just assume property taxes are the same, rent is the same. It's going to be $1,150, right? But this property is $20,000 more expensive than the other 2 we just analyzed. And those properties were in the 10 to 15% range, right? So this is how fast you can start getting, it's been 10 minutes, 12 minutes in this video. And you see how fast that we're getting at just like analyzing these deals, getting through them. And then you start to, when you're like, Antoine, how do you analyze deals so fast? This is why. Because you focus on the same exact areas. And this is how my team analyzes the deals as well. We just look at the same areas over and over and over and over and over again. So that when we see a deal, we're like 135, hell no. We just sold the property for 135 down the street. Doesn't make sense. Pass, next. Like this is a 2-second deal analyzation. Right? Whereas most people, if you're investing across the country, investing in tons of different markets, it's going to take you a long time to go and like figure out which markets to invest in, where to invest, and then choose the right neighborhoods. And then you choose the right neighborhoods and then you change the neighborhood and then you're not investing in the same neighborhood and all this kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind that as you do more deal analyzation and you analyze more and more of these properties, you're going to get better. You're going to get faster at analyzing this because this deal took us 3 seconds to analyze, right? So keep that in mind. And good luck out there buying Section 8 rental properties in Birmingham. Thanks for staying till the end of the video. If you want to make more money in real estate or your business, please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment for what you want to see in the next video. See ya.